Hey everyone, Josh here, and today I'm going to talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, and I promise that one of these days I will get caught up. I'm likely just going to record these two back to back. I've recently seen X-Men movie as well, so definitely going to record a video for that. But subject at hand. I know a lot of people aren't really fans of the Pirate series at this point. Particularly it seems like a popular thing to bash the series, and understandably I know why some people might not like it. That said, I personally still really enjoy the series. I thought Curse the Black Pearl is a movie that is damn near perfect in a lot of ways for the type of movie it's trying to be. Dead Man's Chest was a little convoluted and the pacing was kind of odd, but honestly, everyone still seemed like they were having so much fun, and I thought that translated really well to the sequel still. At World's End, I did have a problem with, because while I like specific sequences, I like the whole actually traveling to World's End and all the things that happened there. It just seemed like there was way too many plot lines that went nowhere. No one seemed to be having any fun or involvement in the plot line. It was way too serious and dour, and that's not what I go to for a Pirates movie, you know? That said, on Stranger Tides, I think actually does a good job of rectifying things quite a bit, thankfully. I was really looking forward to this one, especially the fact that it would be mostly a standalone adventure, and they definitely held their ground on that one. I appreciate that. They obviously leave a few little things open so that they, okay, so I'll put another one in there, but assuredly they will at this point. It's like 810 million at the time of this recording. Of course it's going to make another one. But like I said, I can't wait for the next one, because the fourth one was good. I'd still say it's probably my third favorite in the series, because I still really enjoyed Dead Man's Chest. A lot of people say it's ruined by the cliffhanger ending, but honestly, if you can take it by itself, it's still a great movie in my opinion. But anyway, but the type of movie it is, that is, as well. But, yes, on Stranger Tides, the plot of this one's a lot simpler. I still said, when I saw the third movie, it just seems like, Jack should have got the Fountain of Youth to begin with. That would have been a perfect ending for the trilogy. They could have ended it there, really. Maybe they didn't do this ending because they wanted to continue it, but, wouldn't that have been a perfect ending for At World's End? I realize it's going back in spoilers here, so if you haven't seen the first three movies, don't watch this if you don't want to be spoiled. But suffice to say, basically that it comes down to one of them, Jack can be immortal, or one person can be immortal. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, Jack takes the heart of Davy Jones, gets that, and becomes a pirate forever. That's his lifelong dream. That's a perfect culmination of the character. Even with this dying age of the pirates, he can remain there. And I'm like, that's awesome. Doesn't happen. Thinking to myself, what the hell? Especially at the pre-credit sequence, mid-credits, anyway, where Jack and his shipmate, whose name I can't recall at the moment, but they find a map to the Fountain of Youth, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this just seems like you're trying to cover your ass for not doing this plot in the last movie. And it seems like clearly you just wanted more money around consistent storytelling. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but which is so perfect, guys, and you knew it was so perfect, because you tried it again. That said, I do think the fourth movie handles it quite nicely. Particularly, it kind of does a little reasoning out of Jack's character and his involvement and what his opinion of the Fountain of Youth is near the end of the movie that I won't spoil. That actually is quite satisfying. It goes in a direction I didn't necessarily consider, but is very, very much in tune with the character. The reason I like this movie is that it brings back a lot of characters from the other ones, but is not overstuffed with them, and they're mostly cameos, if that makes any sense. Like you get Jack's father coming in for a short scene. He's great in the short scene. Particularly, I actually really enjoyed Barbossa, how they brought Barbossa back in a larger role. I know at this point, Barbossa, they're just really artificially keeping him in the series. But, you know what, I don't care. I liked his role in this. I was a little confused when I first saw the trailers, and he's wearing, he says, "Oh, we the king's men." Oh, but you were the most piratey of them all. But they made sense, and they did do a good job with that. I'm really gushing, though, here, so I'll get straight to the point. Suffice to say, the story did a good job of pacing, I thought, despite it's the shortest of the pirate movies, and while it could have used a little fleshing out in some areas, particularly as Blackbeard's powers and his ship's powers in general, it did create a very unique mystique that I thought was very much in keeping with the Pirates movie's tone. I particularly love these movies because they're kind of a mix of really a lot of comedic buddy situations, and swashbuckling action, as well as kind of that supernatural aspect that I've always enjoyed. I always like seeing the new ships, you know, like you get attached to inanimate things in these kinds of series. Like when you introduce Curse the Black Pearl, you're introduced to the Black Pearl itself. Say it's all the fastest ship on the sea. Well, how are you gonna beat that? Well, then you got the Leviathan, the Davy Jones's ship. They can literally dive underwater and has these kind of rotating cannons on it, and that was cool as well. In this one, we got Blackbeard's ship, which is kind of piloted by the undead and doesn't necessarily seem to be an effect of the ship itself. It's the Queen Anne's Revenge this time, but in conjunction with Blackbeard's powers, appears to be able to do all these other things related to kind of voodoo. And that was interesting. That was interesting. I did think that the Spanish were really underplayed as far as the story goes, but what can you do? They weren't necessarily an integral part of the plot. As for character, but like I said, there's a good conclusion to this. They do leave it open, but it's still pretty satisfying. As far as characters go, Jack is back, and he is actually funny again this time, and that is what I wanted in the first place. He's acted well. I think Johnny Depp's really back into this role. Barbossa's fantastic, and the Jack and him have this fantastic sequence midpoint in the movie that just is exactly what I wanted out of a Pirates movie. There's a lot of good jokes in it. There's some good action, and a good villain. I will say that I don't think Blackbeard is quite as menacing as either Barbossa or Davy Jones. He has kind of a quiet gravity, but let's face it, the Pirates movies are not about subtlety, you know? I want to see, you know, Barbossa or Jeffrey Rush go, rah, 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 or Davy Jones go, oh, rah, rah, there's little tentacles, beard and everything. Whereas Blackbeard's like, oh, you think you're going to do that, eh? Well, I'm just going to kill you. I mean, it's kind of a neat thing for a pirate series, admittedly, but he kind of seemed a little underplayed for the role that he was doing. As far as the rest of the characters go, they do a serviceable job. I do think the new love interest is quite fun. They introduced a couple new characters to add a more innocent love interest to. I don't think it plays entirely well. That's a smaller portion of the movie, and if they feel the need to include it, at least they included some mermaids this time. And mermaids are an interesting concept in the pirate to add to the pirate mythos. Particularly because the mermaid attack sequence in this, I fall in love with that one. I mean, the CG is not, like, amazing sometimes, even though it was made for $250 million, and that just, like, I don't know how that works, that there's not amazing CG in every scene. But it's nothing to be distracted about. By no means is it actually bad. It's just a little noticeable. But then again, I guess you're dealing with mermaids after all. Very threatening, though. They definitely had a darker tone to this one that I appreciated. Just still keeping with the humor and everything, but there was more of a sense of threat. Some really great set pieces, as Barbossa and Johnny Depp on a tilting ship at one point. And overall, honestly, it was quite the visual spectacle. A lot of the location shooting was really awesome. And Hans Zimmer, with his musical score, back, added a good addition, actually. I really like the Pirates theme. I think it's eminently memorable. I really like the Pirates music, but he added a couple mixes into this one that kind of shuffled it about a little, but made it interesting and new in that way, but still recognizable enough that it felt it blended in with that kind of sonic landscape that he created with the first three movies. And I don't think betrays audiences' expectations, but I think gives them something new while still giving them something they're intimately familiar with. And that really, I think, is the key to a great musical score, as far as a series like this goes. Overall, though, honestly, if you liked the previous Pirates movies, go see this. If you only like the first one and not the other ones, I'd still recommend going to see this. You don't necessarily really need to know any of the plot of 2 or 3. Most of the things aren't really referenced outside of characters, and even those you could probably get by because it's very, very briefly explained in small bouts of exposition. But I see I'm running out of time here, and I really did babble on too much. But suffice to say, I think that's a good explanation enough as how much I enjoyed this movie. It's not a perfect movie. It's not as fun as Curse the Black Pearl, and the plot needs some work, I think, sometimes. But for what it is, it's a ton of fun. And if you go in just expecting that, to have a fun time with a pirate's adventure, maybe a little bit of cool supernatural aspects in the background, it's a good summer movie. It's the perfect kind of summer movie, in my opinion. So, let's see